Hello everyone and welcome to Games, Comics and Crafts.
In this series of videos, I'll be looking at the Judge Dredd case files in order and picking out the most prominent and important stories, as well as noting some artists and writers that actually appear in these books. Okay, so this is volume 28. We're kind of getting to the halfway mark of published case files now. I don't think I'm going to catch up because I think I have to do one of these every month. By the time I've got to anywhere near what they are now, we're still going to be like 20 behind. But at least we're getting there. So all in all, actually, this isn't too bad a one. Start off with Headbangers. Artwork in this one is very, very nice. Alex Ronalds, I don't recognise it, but I actually really like the artwork. Kind of reminds me a bit of Hair Sign. Basically, there's some Scottish dudes in the Cursed Earth that are headbutting, have got like a headbutting clan because they're mutants and they've got these massive foreheads, so they get Mean Machine Angel out there to challenge them to a headbutting contest, which is pretty cool. We get then Cliff Robinson, which I love Cliff Robinson's Dredd. Pulp Fiction, which is pretty cool. About a guy who's got these creds and all this kind of stuff, and it's pretty decent. And yeah, it's doesn't actually riff off of Pulp Fiction. It's quite funny. But artwork's very, very nice. Story's pretty decent as well. Revenge of the Taxidermist, again, going back to this whole character. Basically, he's gone out of business because they've started deciding that, and the new legal thing is you can, instead of just stuffing your loved ones, you can now put their skins on robotic bodies and have them actually become robots and wander around and, act like they had never died. That's pretty decent. What we got next? So I think this is another Ronald artwork one. Yep, this is Angel of Mercy, which is about one of the mega city peepers, the citizens that kind of do all the observation work for him. Discovers that his wife is a serial killer. Pretty decent. Again, artwork very, very nice. And again, there's a lot of these ones in this book here do tend to be more thoughtful stories rather than gag stories. And I always prefer those over the gag stories. I don't mind a little satire. He says as he comes to the story called Down at the Sausage Tree Farm. But a lot of these are pretty decent in that respect. And again, we're still getting Dredd being a character rather than just a kind of a faceless bad guy. So this one is okay. Artwork wise, it's pretty decent. It's basically about a crash. I think it's a crash Brit sit thing at a Cursed Earth. Not too bad. You've Been Fingered is about a guy who's basically almost like technically a vigilante, but he just exposes people to of the crimes they've committed and gets Death Justice Department kind of sort out for him. That's not too bad either. In the Ugly Hour, yeah, short one off. About a mad guy who rampaging because of he's getting ugly treatment and there's a woman getting ugly treatment. It's okay. Again, it's more well-building stuff. We've seen the Auto Sump stuff, so it's kind of obviously still going on. When the L breaks. Yeah. So what's that one? I can't remember what that one is about. Oh, the broken elevator in a block. That's right. Artwork wise, it's okay. Again, I don't like when people go off of the established look of Dredd. So when they change his costume and whatever, it annoys the hell out of me. But it's quite funny. It's basically about a broken elevator system in a block and Dredd having to move up and down stairs, and how it affects all the citizens and that kind of stuff going on. It's not too bad. But then we come to the best story, which is Beyond the Call of Duty, which is another DeMarco story. She becomes the sector chief of Sector 303 after being in 301 with Dredd. And when there's Quera is kind of like brought out, generally speaking, it's going to be a good story. It's going to be one of them kind of like this is a proper Dredd story. This is something that's going to matter. and this is a pretty decent one. So we've got all the supporting cast going on here as well. We've got this guy who used to be in SJS who's trying to catch her out after exposing or trying to expose the secrets of Sector 300 Sector Chief. Um, and DeMarco is kind of trying to appeal to the more human nature of the citizens. There's a vigilante group in there as well. She confesses her love to Dredd, and Dredd seems to kind of be bothered about it, but doesn't kind of immediately kind of like, oh, it's definitely not a Judge thing to do. But he seems kind of, again, not quite sure how he should react. And it makes Dredd just rounds Dredd's character out a little bit more. But this goes on for quite a while, but it is well worth the read. If you were buying these for decent stories, I would definitely say go for the Pit and buy the issues of this or the collections of this that have got those continuation of those stories on, because it's definitely the best stuff they've done in this kind of era, in my opinion. So this goes all the way through to the magazine issues. And shockingly enough, I normally, again, very, very temperamental about the magazine issues because they all tend to be that kind of, one and done gag stories, nothing too good. There's 7 stories in this one from the magazine, and I really like 5 of them. Jimmy Dean one's pretty decent. It's basically there was a clone in. Clone wasn't banned when Cal was in charge, and this Jimmy Dean guy didn't know what to do, so he basically allowed him to become clones so that women could have little clone babies of Jimmy Dean. And 18 years has passed, and 30,000 women had all the same kind of clones. There's now 30,000 Jimmy Deans running around. That's not too bad. Artwork again, very, very nice. Then we get Sleaze, which is really good. We've got Edgar from SJS. Oh, sorry, from the surveillance units. Basically going up against Dredd again. These two kind of butt heads all the way through the 2000 AD stories that we've seen recently. And this is the thing. This is actually a story that matters. This is actually a story that actually contributes to the main overgoing arc. Artwork's really, really nice. Same artwork, I believe, as all the Edgar stories so far. But basically, they are out manipulating each other to try and get this information out about these corrupt politicians. Very, very good. The lie part is about a political meeting where one of the old guys is trying to kill the new guy. Then we get the Bouncy Brats heist, which again, artwork wise, it's one of them Dredd ones where they recorrect it. It's about bouncy Teletubbies. That's a kind of a fad, and some criminals that are using that as a cover to get their exploits. It's okay, but again, it's not brilliant. But again, it's just that annoying reader of of Dredd. It's just like, no, Dredd doesn't look like that. He hasn't got this badge in his centre. That's what not Dredd looks like. Stonekill is pretty decent. About a murderer that is possibly a suspect judge. That's pretty good. And again, artwork, very, very nice. Then we go back to vid specs. Yeah, whatever. It's about somebody who's got some specs that can see stuff, which is quite funny because it's like the meta goggles or whatever they're called, meta glasses. And it's all right, but again, nothing to write home about. Then we are on whatever this one is here. Death in the Family. This one is excellent for a magazine story for definite about a euthanasia program that Megacity is running, and how Dredd kind of enforces the law against the guy who's actually accidentally signed a euthanasia agreement, but also happens to be the head of the company. That is really, really good. And again, it just shows a little bit more character to Dredd, and I really like that. And that ends there, and I think that's the last of the stories. Yeah, and then we've got some decent covers. So we've got the Duncan Fregredo. I love Fregredo's artwork. I think he's very, very good. So the weird thing being is I was definitely buying 2000 AD at this point in time. I don't remember hardly any of these covers. So I'm not quite sure why, or if they just became, because they were all kind of like look very similar and they're kind of mostly painted. it was a thing. I just don't remember. I remember seeing these in Mongoose's Dread RPG as well, especially this one. I believe this is on the front of For Legal Day. But yeah, so all in all, not a bad collection. Um, as I said before, definitely worth it for the DeMarco story. If you are picking these up rather than picking every single one up, as I said before, the DeMarco stuff is definitely worth reading. I'm still waiting for her to kind of either leave Justice Department or have something that she has to leave Justice Department so she can become DeMarco PI that we see in the Dredd magazines. But yeah, a decent collection. Even without that kind of epic, apocalypse war style story, this is very, very good. So there you go. So yeah, so I think that's pretty much all I can say about this one so far. So thanks for listening, and hopefully we'll be back on schedule with these being the last Friday of the month from now on, and we can hopefully maintain that for the rest of the year. So thanks very much, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye bye.